talking to your therapist about, because after our last visit, it was suggested, maybe like a more, like less of like a mood disorder and maybe more related to, like trauma. But I think it would be still beneficial to kind of have that testing done.
Okay, so if it's, I know I had birth trauma. I know for one, I was a preemie, and then there was crisis when I was being, delivered. But I was born 3 months premature. I was put in a incubator when I'm supposed to be getting skin-to-skin contact with mom, and that would affect, I think, my issues with women like needing to be touched too much is related to that. And then also that my mom, we have with descendants of the genocide, and then the mom has had issues. What mom was the fourth daughter. The firstborn son was shot in the arms of my grandmother during the genocide, and they had child after child hoping to get a son to replace the one that was killed in my grandmother's arms, and they kept getting girls. And it's kind of in that culture, it's like Borat was joking about it. You get a baby, it's a girl, it says, where's the trash can? Which is really sad, but then that was the truth. And so they would keep getting, they got 3 girls, my mom's 3 older sisters. Every time they would get really, really upset that they got girl, not a boy. And then so when my mom was born, she was called a kakashlan, which is like the worst insult ever. And then so that to this day, that bad name, like she was bullied with that name, that she's worthless. She's hard. She's like a shame to the family. Because of that, and then that counts for why she has Munchausen by proxy towards me. The abuse I got. My dad was submissive. So that Till Swan talks about doll syndrome, that she had got a husband that's submissive to abuse him, and then had children as dolls that have to give her unconditional love as she abuses them verbally, and then sexually, and then all these ways. So then that would, considering that, would explain things about me, why I am the way I am, to determine the consideration, consider what that diagnosis is. So it is as a result, and then all the scams that have been attempted on me, people trying to take advantage of the submissive because they have lower boundaries, right? And then because they do target the vulnerable, and then one of them is the neurodivergent and the submissive, those who've been survivors of childhood abuse, and then they would like to lower the lower credibility, the stigma against the neurodivergent. So when they're reporting, nobody wants to listen to them because they say, oh, you just go see a psychiatrist, So then, having had trauma, I know I have PTSD from having all the abuse and scams that have been attempted on me. And then the wanting to tell the world about it. I have my trauma response is revealing everything to everybody in my YouTube channel. So seeing the whole picture, why I am the way I am, that's some of what I had that house that I was calling Sanctuary for Traumatized Women, which all the girls I had in there, some turned out to be squatters, scammers, but some were actually my girlfriends who were survivors of childhood. Tania had been had a baby from her own dad that was aborted. Yeah, and she was raped by her own brother when she was 6. Brother was 15, and then I actually have that. I interviewed her about that, and she was in this cult, and like I need to, like, this is what it is. I constantly tell people all this stuff, and I want it on TV. I want everyone to know, and it does sound. And then this is the important thing. It's all very intense stuff. It sounds crazy, but the distinction is, because people hear this, they say go see a psychiatrist. But the thing is, it's not my perception of it that's crazy. It actually is crazy. Do you know the distinction? If I say the cops are helping a criminal squatter occupy my house, that sounds crazy. A psychiatrist would normally say, well, let me give you something to help you think straight. But if the fact that it's actually true, and I video it to prove that it's actually true, so that that to get it on TV, and I want the world to know it really is true, even though it sounds crazy, it is true. It's not my perception. It's a so then, considering all that, and a lot of friends of mine told me, Zeke, there's nothing diagnosis. They shouldn't diagnose you with some mental disorder. You're just eccentric. You like to joke, say dirty jokes. You belong on a TV show, in a movie. Yeah, them diagnosing you and then to lower your credibility is an error. And they would rather do that than, because so. And this issue of my inheritance, mom wants me to be the heir of the inheritance. The maliciousness of them wanting to lower my credibility, using the fact that I talk too much to say, he should, to say you're crazy, you shouldn't be handling all that money. That's the thing. My extended family, because and I really need to say this last thing, I'm not going to say too much more, that because I'm the scapegoat of the family, because I'm reporting all of the abuse everyone in our extended family has gotten from all of those other 3 sisters also have been abusive to their children. And because the culture is to keep it secret, and I'm reporting publicly all of this abuse, I've become the truth speaker, the black sheep, the scapegoat, the black sheep, what is the other term? There's another term. And so, yeah, so they want to silence me, and they don't want me to have that income, that inheritance, because after me is my niece, and so they want that, and then so they want to put me out of the way by saying you're not credible because you were scammed. You see. And then the fact that I've been scammed is the reason it makes me credible, because I've made it into a case study. My YouTube channel, my collection of videos that I have, the Voice of the Soul.us, all the playlists in there. It is a credible account of all that a child of survivor of adult survivor of childhood abuse has experienced. Someone else can do case study. They're telling me I shouldn't because it's biased, but someone else can. It is public videos. It is available for people to use, for psychology students, researchers to use as a case study on what on.
I'm not able to hear you any longer.
Can you hear me now? Oh. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you clearly now.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah. So my YouTube channel is an account of adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse, a submissive, and how all the attempts at scamming and taking advantage of me for that purpose, and then all the people I know who've had the same. You see, and it would.
Just in the amount of time that we have left, we got started late. Have things for you been pretty consistent, over the last couple of months?
No, they're hectic. They're hectic. Things are hectic, and they're intentionally hectic. People, it's there, I've been subjected to all this stuff intentionally in order to wear me out. I've had my identity theft crisis that police have not helped me with. I report the crimes, the stuff that I've reported, and then they actually discourage me from reporting because it's on the YouTube channel, wakeupamerica.world. They scold me when I'm going there to talk to them about what's going on with my mom. My mom's been calling police daily for 7 years. She just calls them and says she's locked out of her door, to have them call me to get me over there because she likes to catastrophize and she has her, she's histrionic. And then the fact that 7 years, especially last 3 years, I go there to explain to them, try to work it out, they don't want to. That sentiment that cops and politicians have no interest in solving the problem. The fact that she's been calling 7 years the police, they don't want to, when I go there to address it, if you go wakeupamerica.world, that YouTube channel, top of the playlist, is how Sergeant Lafferty at the Devonshire police station, the people who took her to court because she calls daily. When I go there to explain about that calmly, and the other video shows in the description, you'll see I explain to them what's going on. They don't want to hear it. They intentionally don't want to hear that she has Munchausen by proxy, and that they need to get medical power of attorney because she refuses treatment intentionally. Attempt after attempt, they block communication when easy solutions are there for that situation. And the one I was suffering in my own house with a squatter. And I want the world to know how many in America who are neurodivergent, who are adult survivors of childhood abuse, are targeted for scams, and the laws and the law enforcement have these policies that support the scammers, and then when you want to report it, because of lawsuit abuse, people are scared to have anything to do with it, and then so that the property is taken from them and is shared between the individuals in law enforcement and gang members. And as crazy as this sounds, you look at what I have, it is a fact, it is true. And then if they actually do the research and look at all the houses that have repeated 911 calls daily over years, all over America, that would fulfill my purpose in life when it's discovered how much of this really goes on all over America. How many, this is my prayer, all the people they have done this to, all the methods they have used, or they're all neurodivergent, or the elderly, all the vulnerable that are taken advantage of using the laws and law enforcement, scams, lawsuit abuse, framing, blackmailing, provoking, and then all the reason why the laws are like that. The politicians are framed and blackmailed, and and bribed blue line gangs. The corruption in the police department that makes them use their authority to help for criminal the criminals in police uniform. Lawyers are criminals. How many people get rich from lawsuit abuse, framing, and and then so you walk on Kaiser. I hear all these nurses saying, I could have suggested this life-saving treatment, but I didn't want to because I'm scared to be sued. How much lawsuit of abuse affects society? People, no one trusting anybody. Nothing can get done. No one wants to do, and everyone's a pencil pusher because so many are there to do something, get some procedure, and then screw it up intentionally so they can sue. And then lawyers are happy about it, and then they make it so cops are happy about it, and then so laws are made. So that's the, and then the term normalize, when something is wrong, everybody knows about it, but it's like it's normal, just like the.
It's going to need to interrupt because we are, out of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and send that referral for you to meet with that the neuropsychologist so you can get some clarification. Are you still meeting with the therapist?
Yeah, I want to know, look, at the end of this call, having gone through this, what would be based on what I told you, what I've been through, how would you diagnose me? You're a psychiatrist. I ask your diagnosis. What is your perception of what how I am? I want your opinion. What is my diagnosis? I can't hear you. Are you there? Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Hello?
Hi, yes.
Yeah, so tell me, what is my diagnosis?
And so, like I said, I'm going to send a referral for neuropsychiatric testing because it is a little of a complex case. And once again, our visit is started late, limiting how much we could talk.
No, tell me what the diagnosis is. I heard, don't repeat again that you've made an appointment. Don't take up time telling me things that you've told before. I know you've made can you tell me what my diagnosis is?
You don't need to yell at me, sir. I'm trying to, I'm trying to answer your question. And so, I do think that trauma does play a role. But I do think that having, somebody meet with you for a longer appointment to kind of get some more information, to really fine-tune the diagnosis will be beneficial.
Tell me, based on what you heard, what is your opinion, what my diagnosis is, please?
Like I said, I do think that trauma plays a role.
Trauma plays a role, but what is the diagnosis? Considering that trauma plays a role, why are you avoiding answering? I promise you I will not sue you. Can you tell me what you think my diagnosis is? That's why I took this appointment to ask you. I want to know what my diagnosis is. Why you don't want to tell me what my diagnosis? You're a psychiatrist. I took the session to find out my diagnosis is. I want your opinion. I know another session, but now that I have this, I asked please for your diagnosis of me. Don't repeat again, trauma plays a role. Tell me what you think my diagnosis is.
I'm sorry. Like I said, there's different trauma diagnoses, and unfortunately, because our visits do get started late, and a lot of times with the conversation that we have, we give a lot of information about the traumas that you have, but not specifically about the symptoms that you have. And so it's harder to fine-tune the trauma diagnosis. Additionally, I do, sometimes when there is a lot of trauma, sometimes things like it can change people's personality. personality. So I think that can be really hard to diagnose because those diagnoses are based off of people having an established long-term relationship and getting to know the patient. Because today we started 15 minutes late. Our last
yes, but you have had many previous sessions with me. And then the fact that this is a psychiatrist appointment, I've seen you many sessions before, you do know me, and all of them is the same. You refusing to give me your diagnosis after all these sessions we've had means because you're scared of lawsuit abuse. This is the situation. This is actually...
No, that's not it at all, sir. These are complicated cases.
You could give me some. You've seen me so many sessions. It's okay. You don't want to answer it. You're gonna come up with all these excuses. It's okay. I'm sorry. It's okay. All right.
It's just our first visit and our second
It's
visit.
not our first visit. We've had many visits together, Dr. Mulligan. We've had previous...
2 years back, and then we saw each other one other time before today's visit.
So you have the records from the previous psychiatrist. I've seen psychiatrists before.
No, I do not. I do not have those other records.
All right.
I'm only able to see our appointments together. I don't have other records.
You do not see David Godino's? There's sessions I've had within Kaiser. Why would you not have access to those?
I don't know, but I don't see his notes. It might have been before. Oh, sorry, Mr. Guidino.
Yes. Yes.
And so therapy notes I do have access to, but generally therapist notes are generally pretty vague. And they ask different questions, and their information gathering process is different than ours.
It's still information. Me and Godino did discuss in all of our sessions the diagnosis. You would want to research that. Maybe if you have another appointment, now that you're aware, you would look through his notes because David Godino and I did discuss my diagnosis in all of our sessions. If you would please, I ask you, forgive me for my rudeness, my frustration. You understand because of what I've been through. Please look through the notes that you have from David Godino to help assess.
They're not helpful because they say things like discussed current family relational concerns, medical matters. That doesn't give me a lot of information to go on, unfortunately. That's what the last note said.
Look at the previous one. Look at all of them. Look at all of the information on me that you have, not just the last one. You don't have to do it now. I realize we're out of time, but please look at all the records.
Prior to that, patient and mother discussed current family relationship matters, problem-solving techniques, and was able to identify a solution. That's not information that really gives me a lot to go off of in terms of diagnosis. Generally, therapist notes are very limited in terms of cases. And so, like I said, I know that I have low suspicion for a bipolar diagnosis. I think that some of the mood symptoms that maybe people had concern for mania in the past may have been due to a trauma response. And so
he had told me that because I don't have sleep disorders, which I don't, it can't be bipolar or unipolar. Is that true?
And so it would be that's a very strong having sleep disturbance is a very strong symptom of mania. And so for me too, part of the reason why I don't believe that there's a manic aspect to it is that from what you described, your symptoms are pretty constant. With bipolar diagnoses, they come and they go.
So then it's not. So then it's not. Just having knowing that is valuable. That yeah, what you just told me, that is precious. I do appreciate it because it's constant. It's not bipolar. Then what would that point more to? If it's constant, what would that mean? Can you tell me just that? Just tell me one more. That I appreciate what you just told me.
I think it's a trauma-related disorder, which is a diagnosis.
Trauma-related yeah, because it's constant. It's at okay. So Dr. Mulligan, please accept my apology. You understand my frustration because of what I've been through. What you just told me is like something I didn't know, and I do appreciate that insight that you gave me. Please, I take back bad things I've said. Please, accept my apology. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But I do have to get going, and I do hope that in the future visits can start on time, just because it does make it a lot harder for us to have, meaningful evaluations, already 30 minutes, and a lot of instances are.
Yeah, and then we'll be in person also. It'll help. Yeah, they show up in person. Yeah. I understand. Thank you.
And our second visit, we're close together, and then I didn't talk to you for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And then every visit has been started late, and that makes it really challenging to do.
Okay, I have to be punctual.
What we need to do, especially when someone's background is so complex.
Yes, it is complex. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Mulligan. I do respect you. I'm sorry I expressed disrespect. It wasn't my intention. I respect you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.